Hey, all right, guys. Hey, let's stand up, please. Stand up. We got to change the natural energy in this room. High five the person next to you. High five the person on the other side of you. You know, maybe some of you guys want to do some push-ups or some air squats. You can do that, right? Let's turn that energy up. Yeah, beautiful. Where's my guy who got stuck at the airport for hours and only slept? We have a special intro for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, let's go. He made it. He's in the building. Awesome. Welcome, guys. Please have a seat. Thank you, Lee, for the intro. When I write better than chat, I feel far superior. Welcome, guys. I know you've had a long day. I know it was a challenge to get here. And so I'm just really excited to be with you. I'm going to give you a lot. And most of you understand this type of world that we call self-development, personal development, professional development, self-mastery, expansion, growth, whatever the language may be. You're all going to take something away from this hour differently, and as you should. And so let me just start out by saying your attention is the most important thing I could possibly ask for, and it's the most valuable thing you can give anybody. And so we're in the most distracted time in human history. You're holding the most distracted device, and some of you got the windows wide open, waiting for those distractions to just come on in. And so what I'm going to ask for, at least in the beginning, if anybody has a pregnant wife or something's dire straits, please feel free to answer it. But at least for the first 15 or 20 minutes, let me try to keep your attention long enough because we have work to do. Unlike a traditional keynote speaker who might present and speak and just talk to you, what I want to do is have a conversation with you. I want to get to know a little bit more about you and what drives you. When you were stuck, what did the brain start to do? Did it tell you, just go home? How many times did that happen? What did it say more than anything?
I was trying to run a car.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't know when the plane would get out. He kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it.
So you were trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
You were willing to rent a car and drive if that was what you needed to do.
Looking into it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, you got here. And so I'm going to teach some of my frameworks, some of my blueprints, some of my ways to live a better life. And whatever that means to you, however you define success or better, does anybody agree here that we can all find a way to improve something in ourselves every day? Awesome. Most of you who said yes, you're in the growth mindset category, and those of you who look at me like I'm crazy, you're in the fixed mindset category. And we're going to get into some of those ideas behind me here in a minute. But first, we've got to connect. One of my favorite words in the year is called connection. And so here's what we're going to do. You're going to find, are there any veterans in the building? Do we have any veterans in the room? No veterans? Round of applause for all the veterans serving overseas and in this country. Yeah. All right, so we're going to adapt and overcome. The first connection piece, and we don't need to really see much here, except connection is key. You're going to find 3 people that you don't know. You're going to take a minute with each person. You're going to get up around the room and go crazy, and you're going to find out, 1, where was that person born or possibly where they were raised? Number 2, what is their superpower? What is their greatest strength? Don't let them give you some excuse. You got to get that out of them. What is the one thing? I see you guys starting to pull out the pens and the papers. You guys are going to read, write, and speak today in this session. And if you don't do that on a regular basis, we got to step away from the device and the matrix for a little while because our brain works differently. If your hand cramps up in the very beginning, it's okay, that happens. And the third thing you're going to do is you're going to share with them what does your team do well and what is a challenge or problem or obstacle that you would like to overcome. What is the great strength of the team and where is the gap? Where is the problem, the challenge, or the obstacle? And through that process, we're going to be able to fix it. All right. So we're not going to go with the music, but we are going to get up and move around. 3 people. Number 1, where were they born and raised? Find out about them. Number 2, what is their superpower? What is their great strength? What makes them unique and special? Number 3, on the team that you run or manage or are a part of, what do you guys do well? What do you not do so well? 3, 2, 1, go. You have 3 minutes. Let's go. Everybody up. Get up. Get up. Get up. Awesome. Round of applause. Yeah. So does everybody feel the human connection? And I don't know what it was like in this room all day, but let's imagine that we remind ourselves, even though we're in business, that there is a human element to everything we do. And our greatest abilities is to be able to connect with somebody else so that they feel comfortable, they feel safe, they feel heard. And again, in this distracted time where most people's heads are down and they're in this position the majority of the time, when you talk to somebody, it's hard, right? Who has teenagers in this room, right? It's hard for them to look you in the eyes and shake a good hand. So we have to follow those same kind of principles. Thank you guys for participating. All right, next piece of the puzzle. This, for anybody who leads or just wants to, start the year in a magical way, empowered and inspired to take action. This is a very simple assignment I put all my clients throughout the year, my kids, my family, so that they have a driving force. It's really simple. Acronym is WOY. It stands for Word of the Year. Now we're this close to the end of the year, so whatever word you select, use it to run through the finish line in 2025 and start 2026, not 2 days in, not a week in, not a month in, but on January 1st, 2026. This is the ultimate and most simple way to have a visual representation of who you want to be, of how you want to show up, of how you want to lead, how you want to teach, how you want to live. My word of the year for this year, and this is probably year 5 doing this, is rise. If I fall down, it's to get back up. If I get beaten down, it's to get back up. A couple years back, my word was serve, and it really helped me being in this business where I often give a lot of myself and I don't ask for anything in return. So once I put service into the equation, I stopped feeling sorry for myself. At any point throughout this trip, did you have a sorriness to yourself? Did you play the victim at all?
Oh, I'm sure there was a little bit of that.
Yeah, but an iced tea and you were good to go.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay. So this word of the year, you're just going to pause for 60 seconds. You're just going to think a little bit. Maybe you have one. Does anybody in this room already do this or have a word that they might live by? Yes, sir.
New thrive was my 2025 year word.
Awesome. Beautiful. Are you thriving? Yeah. Okay. All right. Good. Well, it doesn't mean choose a different word. Right? Yeah. So part of this, again, in the process of knowing that there's this many brains, this many experiences, this many years, this many people in a room, like you have to define what that word means to you. Right? There's people from other countries in here who might define a word like thrive differently. And so just take 60 seconds to think, feel, and be, right? You guys are in commercial, you're in industrial, you're in corporate. You use a lot of this. In this time period together, we're going to use a lot of this. All right, so let's put that brain away for a moment and think and feel. If I were to be something and someone that maybe I haven't been or that I want to continue being, what would that word do for me if I saw it? If I saw it on my phone, if I saw it on the wall? Well, what about the person next to me in the office? What about at the next meeting in March when you guys get back together, your name tags say your name and then that word? You get to know that person on a little deeper level. Plus, in return, you're being a little vulnerable. Clear? All right, great. Let's go. 60 seconds. We will share these at rapid fire. Rapid fire. You got to stand up and give us that word and maybe what it means to you. 45 seconds. Say it again. Yeah, I'm going to say no. Yeah. That's a hard no, actually. Yeah. Now, a lot of what I'm going to give you has an assignment to it. And so in the return and report that I send Lee from the airport tomorrow with a lot of what I've talked about, with a lot of these ideas and how you can introduce them not only into your life, but into the people that are in your life, your circle of influence, your friends, your family, your associates, people you just meet. I will have some other information in there, but ultimately, we want to use our brains slightly different than what you're doing for these couple days. And that's why Lee brought me in here, was just to get you to think outside the box, right? How to go above and beyond. How to take the numbers and make them more humanized. How to make the people and understand possibly what they're going through, but also meet them with really clear communication. So, who has a word that they're all ready to share? Yeah, let's go. Hands up. Let's go. So, this is how it's going to work since you guys tied it off. You both raise your hand at the same time.
Who did?
Yeah, it was the two of you, same time. Okay, they went up at the identical time. We can watch the replay. Identical, all right? You're going to share, and then after that, you're just going to say your word. Everybody in the whole room, okay? Now, if the person next to you doesn't share, you can rat them out. You can snitch them out. You can just do this. It won't be a big deal. All right, here we go, ladies.
Resilience.
Okay, beautiful. Go. All at once. Man, maybe that's not a good idea. All right? One at a time.
Conquer.
If I love your word, I'm going to have you stand up and share what it means. Positive?
Does it have to be a verb?
Great. No, it doesn't. And if it's two words, that's totally cool too. Great. So I got to stop and pause. Positive. What's the opposite of positive? Doesn't that suck? That's a great way to inspire yourself when you see that word. So take your word too and do the math. What does it mean to be the opposite of that? What does it mean the opposite of rise? It's to fall and stay there. All right, next.
Strength.
Great.
Happy.
Happy. Growing. Focus. Are you distracted?
I want to stay focused on my goals and my manifestation.
Even better. Beautiful. Beautiful answer. But are you distracted?
Probably sometimes.
Yeah. How do you get undistracted in such a digitally distracted world?
I think when I really feel tuned into whatever project I'm working on, it's easy to lock into that and think about the end result.
Does anybody have a focus practice in here, something they do to put themselves into a state of focus?
Meditation. Yoga.
Great. Awesome. Here's a great one. And I don't always use it, but this is a very organic room, okay? All right, everybody stare at my index finger. Please do not take your eyes off of the index finger. Everybody got it? Everybody sees it? Not anything behind me, not the suit, not the screen, the finger. Awesome. Take a second. Look at everything all at once in the room right now. Everything at once. Everything. Don't move your head. Just look. Eyes everywhere. It's chaos. So if you're trying to do that one thing that moves the needle forward, but yet you're distracted because you have 87 windows open, your phone is beeping, and you're actually trying to parent your kids at the same time, you're not going to do any of those things well. One of my superpowers is the ability to focus on one thing. How did I get there? I was terrible. And because of my age, I might have been diagnosed. If back then you weren't just excited, they would have told you you had ADHD. And so we have to learn and then work on being undistracted. And the best way to do that is to just simply focus on that one thing at a time. Great, more shares. What's your word?
Patience.
Patience. All right, great. Balance. I might have to beat that one up.
After what you just said, I was going to say to you, how can you focus on one thing but have balance?
Yeah. Okay, great question. So we have to reframe the word balance. Balance doesn't truly exist. There's harmony, which is your ability to do lots of different things and be okay knowing that one, you might not give the same amount of attention to. But this is a great segue, right? Just a quick raise of hands. Parents, how many of you are parents? Raise them high, raise them high, raise them high. 65, 70%. Okay, awesome. right? Everything you do, including your relationship with your phone, your relationship with getting things done, your relationship with being distracted or undistracted, they are simply watching, right? When you see a newborn 6 months old with an iPhone and they're just locked in, like nothing in the world exists, well, that's the same thing with us. Now, as a performance coach, I'm not just telling you to disengage from the goal or the target, but we have to get better at what we allow to take our attention away. Okay? Checked into the hotel last night. Flight was a little delayed, not too bad. Got here at midnight, walked in, a whole lot of people drinking at the bar, right to the room. Undistracted. Singular focus. One thing at a time, right? Now, in this time, I can't do anything else because this is my goal, this is my vision. But there's 1,000 things on paper that I know I need to get done. And so what do? Prioritize and execute. Please write that down somewhere on your notepad. Prioritize and execute. When Monday morning comes, and I'm really glad I love Mondays because I hated them for so long. When Monday morning comes and you know you took the weekend off to spend time with your family, you were not balanced, you were unbalanced in a good way. You went from working for 70 hours to now being a dad for 24 hours, but you start to feel like you've fallen behind. And now there's more things coming in. You have to separate those inputs by judgment, and that judgment comes from clearly knowing what you need to do. And so one of the resources I'll tell you about, The One Thing, Gary Keller. Anybody read that book? Awesome. I have a whole list of resources and books for you guys to check out. That's part of it, is to be able to only do one thing at a time, but do that one thing so well that that's the most important thing you can be doing. The Buddhists say how you do one thing is how you do everything. And so it's just a great reminder, like, you're not going to be less busy ever again. Right? So you have to be the one who determines how do you give that balance. And how do we eliminate some of the noise and the distractions? There it is. See, I saw the phone go up right away. Right? All right. A couple more shares in the back. One words.
Disrupt.
Disrupt. All right. He's got a new word already. I like it. Beautiful. Keep going. I think maybe about 10 more, 10 or 12 more. Serve, beautiful. Inspire, love it. How do you inspire people?
I just try to make them feel good. Try to connect with them, get to know them, make them feel important, special.
Great. And what's your role?
Property manager.
Okay, great.
So I get to know tenants,
Yeah.
team, everyone here, my family.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you for sharing. Who here inspires themselves in their actions? Okay, great. I'll tell you right now, if I ask that question again, you can't do this. Super inspiring all the time. There's no gray. It's black and white. You either are or you aren't. We're going to get into this idea around clear here in a minute, but give me 5 more words of the year. Throw them out there.
It's not so much of a word, it's more like of a mindset. That's fine?
Yeah.
Like to me, it's like Hulk mode.
Say that again.
Hulk mode. Like
Hulk mode.
Hulk mode.
Hulk.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to come with the arms. I got to know. Yeah. Hulk mode.
That's been my mind frame for the year.
Yeah, we are in Florida, so Hulk Hogan mode or the Hulk? Okay. All right, great. 3 more.
Mine, go 1 more, do 1 more mile, do 1 more push-up, help another person at the end of the day, maybe check 1 more email, just push yourself to your limits because we can always do more.
Not settling. Yeah, beautiful. All right, last one, and that person's going to define it. One more.
I guess I'll go. I put ambition, and then I guess the definition would be purpose or drive towards a goal.
Why do you guess when you know?
I don't know. I put that down as my weakness on here.
What is it?
Second guessing.
Ah, beautiful. You're going to love the curriculum moving forward here. This is great, guys. Have your kids do it. Have people in your life do it. Have that Debbie Downer, that negative person that you love, but every time you're around her, all they do is complain, or him, all they do is complain, because it's just a great way to hold them accountable. All right, communication. How do we communicate? Who in here picks up the phone and every time they do, you're like, oh my God, I got to answer it. Because if you don't answer it 3-4 times, they're going to keep calling. Okay? That's you. What's your role?
I'm the director of property management for Orlando.
Oh yeah, yeah. So you're pounding.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So phone calls is your number one communication platform.
If they don't phone, it's phone related, because if they're not calling, then the tenant texts.
Yeah.
So they'll try the office line first, if they can't get the office line, then they'll try my cell phone directly, and if I don't answer that, then they move on to
Yeah.
text.
Yeah.
Any way to get
Okay. Has anybody felt that or experienced that in this room? Okay. Who's the texter here? Who tries to solve life's problems by sending text? Hey, she didn't want to put her hand up right there. Yeah, right? It's a great tool, but before we could text, we had to pick up the phone. Anybody I know of influence pounds the phone. Now, they tend to be a little bit more seasoned. You know, they're not the young heads, as my kid would say. But I'm teaching those same lessons to teenagers that I mentor, is the ability to pick up the phone. Because what happens in there is there's a form of resistance in all of us. Resistance to get on the plane, the resistance to get here, the resistance to walk in the room, the resistance to be comfortable having a hard conversation. Now, nothing beats IRL, right? Lee could have put this screen up and I could have been at my Tony Robbins studio in Scottsdale, Arizona, and it still would not have hit. Somebody in the back would have been like, he's not even paying attention. I can get on my phone, right? So IRL, super important, which is why you guys have these meetings 2-3 times a year, is to put you guys all in one room. So communication. Who's a great communicator in the room? All right. How, why, what can you teach us from this ability to communicate with people?
Communicate if there's something positive or wrong, speak, talk. Just over communicating is never a bad thing.
Over communication.
So do you over-communicate or do you micromanage, or are they similar?
No, I would say over communicate in certain, depending on the topic, obviously. But yeah, I feel like I do communicate well with my tenants, people, friends, family.
Who would like to have me drive the bus over their leg right now? Who's not a good communicator? Who wants to be vulnerable? Who could be better at communicating? Hey, all right, that was a much better way. Hey, fantastic. All right.
If our head of communications volunteers is in trouble.
Yeah. Is that you? Yeah? Okay, great. All right, so we'll get into it. So I have a very simple language. I am not a military veteran. I'm a civilian, but I've learned a lot from the military community. I opened one of the first CrossFit gyms in the world 15 years ago and started to train some of our special forces and learned a lot from them. And they have great systems or playbooks for operating life. So if you don't know or you haven't really studied it, like I say, you know, there's some business books out there that aren't even on my list, but Jocko Willink, David Goggins, there's a lot of these really high-level guys who teach better ways to introduce habits and disciplines. And so this is on all my material. It's on t-shirts. My kids know it. It's really simple. Because people who are indecisive, they're not certain. Forget confidence, they're not certain. And certainty is very simple. You know, the guy who sends a 7-page email because he didn't want to pick up the phone, somewhere in this room, that's a problem. So we simplify it, we dumb it down, and excuse my language on that, but it's clear or unclear. So if I send something to somebody in communicating it to them, my team, I get simple responses, clear or unclear. If they're unclear, then we need a phone call. If they're clear, then they know what to do, and I know where to go. All right, who would like to read communication? Somebody who has not shared yet, please just stand up and read. All right, I got to start pointing now. Wait. I was told I have gift cards for people who participate. Holy cow. I'm not going to use those gift cards for, you got, yeah, please.
Communication is the process of creating, transmitting, and interpreting messages between individuals or groups using signals, symbols, or behaviors.
Thank you. Is not participating a form of communication?
Yes.
All right, so these are some of the ways that we communicate. We can call, we can text, and if I'm missing something, this is where I expect you to communicate and say, hey, this is one way that I do it. I got a handshake with my son. He's a teenager, he's a football player, and this is one of the forms of communication. But it's super important that we know as many ways as possible that we can communicate or the ways that we don't, because then we know how we can read other people. And reading other people is a big form of communication. Body language, this is a good one. What if I walked in here like this? Would you guys have stood up? Would you have wanted to stand up? No. How many of you guys practice how you stand? Where's all my yogis at? Yeah. Okay, great. Stand up. We're going to use this as an exercise. Everybody stand up. Feet are planted in the ground, maybe a little less than shoulder width apart. You should be able to rock back and forth. This is an open position, not closed. And so it's really simple. We just allow our hands and arms to go by our side, and we stand nice and tall. We don't have to over-exaggerate it. We're not trying to look bravado or maverick or anything like that, but we simply just open our posture. Great. Turn to 3 people, 2 handshakes and a high five. Hey, yeah, there we go. Beautiful. I'll take that one. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, hold on before you sit down. We're going to add a layer to this. One compliment. Now, if you know the person, it might be easier. It doesn't just have to be visual, meaning they have a nice shirt, nice hair, nice blouse, but like one compliment that goes a little layer deeper, especially if you know that person. You're going to give away one compliment to 3 people. 3 different compliments. 3, 2, 1, go. Yep, 3 people. A compliment.
I said your communication is absolutely.
How do you motivate people? Right? Ownership is the ultimate form of leadership, and that's what we're doing here. We're getting you guys to own more about yourselves so that you can do better work and enjoy it more, because then everybody reaps those benefits. And so how many did we hit? Now we're in live, right? So we hit vocal, we hit eyes, we hit body language, we hit visual, and even some touch there. Pretty good, right? So if you're dealing with somebody and all you're doing is going back and forth on email, one great way to change that is to show up, is to go meet them, is to see them in person, right? Is there anybody in leasing in this room? A lot. Okay, great. Where's all, oh man, these half hands aren't gonna work. Now I know who you are, right? Right? You got an attack mode. An attack mode is being different than the other 5,000 people that look, act, and talk just like you. That's how I win business. I go above and beyond. I do more than I'm being compensated for. I show up even when I don't want to. And so you got to think about that. If you're chasing a deal and all you're doing, oh, he doesn't respond, he doesn't reply. I've been chasing him for 6 months. Go there. Show up. I guarantee you, if you don't win that deal, you will prove something to yourself that will help you win more and more deals later on in life. All right, great job. Anything I'm missing in here? Other ways of communication? You know, handwritten, maybe a handwritten letter. Does anybody write letters once they close business, or thank you cards? Yeah, I learned that from my wife. That's powerful. I've closed some business that way. They get the letter in the mail before they've made the decision, and all of a sudden, I'm the big winner. Okay? So again, if I can put a title on what we're doing today, right, it is how to become world class. And that's the language that I use. World class is above being a professional. It's better than everybody else in your field. All right, so since you're all standing, let's wait. Oh boy. We went from external to internal real quick. Does anybody here have, like, they talk to themselves when they're doing small tasks, right? Yeah, okay, great. Yeah, yeah. Does anybody talk themselves out of doing things? And sometimes they don't want that, right? And that's why I asked you, like, did you have this idea around resistance of, like, it's just not meant to be. I shouldn't be there. I'm just going to go home. You didn't. No, yeah. But that's what we have, right? Most of us have an inner monologue that's 50-50, right? And what I want to portray to you is to believe and trust in yourself so much, there is no doubt. Not to the people who see it or feel it, there's no doubt within yourself. So how do you communicate with yourself? Okay, a little bit of talking maybe, right? Well, there's a couple different ways we do that. Obviously, pausing, shutting down some of those inputs that are coming, taking 5 minutes to breathe or meditate or pray or write something down. The reason I had you guys write down that question that you were finding out about that person is because that's how you solve problems. You don't solve problems going, oh my God, I got so many problems. Oh, so many problems. Oh my God, this is the next problem, right? Because then it all feels like one. You're compartmentalizing different pieces of the puzzle. Your work life and your home life and your self life and your family life, yes, they're all integrated, but we can't let what happened. Well, I don't want to throw her under the bus because she's been really sweet to me. Tracy, who was dealing with a kid outside on the phone? Okay, you're right. That hand went up quick. Yeah, right? I overheard it. I wanted to come over and give you a hug, right? I'm glad it didn't bleed into this, okay? That it's not just micromanaging, right? It's like solving problems at speed. And the clearer you are, the ability to communicate, and the more you know yourself, the more you can solve these problems and help other people solve their own problems versus coming to the party with a problem. All right, so next slide. Growth or fixed? What do you got? Growth. Everybody? Yeah? Okay. Awesome. I did not for a very long time. And it seems to somehow find its way to creep back into my headspace every now and again, including walking into this room. And although I did all the pre-work to walk into the room to provide you with the information, ultimately, there is a fixed mindset that will show up in all of us. That's having a hard conversation. That's believing or trusting in yourself. That's oftentimes talking yourself out of the success that you want. So what do? Well, we understand that we're human. And we did not create the human brain like the iPhone. It was created for us. And so in that, there's a lot of scarcity. Well, the bridge between scarcity and abundance is gratitude. So our next assignment is simple. I want you to write down 3 things that you're grateful for. One of the 3 has to be about you. Now, we're not talking about perfection. There's no such thing as perfect. But what do you love about yourself? What are you grateful for about yourself? What have you done to remind you that like you are your own greatest secret weapon and you don't always deploy it? So the science is 10-to-1. For every 10 negative thoughts, we produce 1. Throw in some teenagers calling because they can't find the remote or something else that's so minimal, and they're freaking out.
So it's 10 negative thoughts for 1 positive. Is that what you said?
Yeah, that's the science, the psychology. So when your brain comes up with a negative thought or a form of resistance or something that stops you from achieving what you want or moving forward, you are in a fixed mindset. I have 2 kids. One was born with a fix, one was born with a growth. My growth mindset kid is unstoppable. He's never had a doubt in his mind, and he's backed it up by doing the work. My daughter, who was born with a fixed mindset, I've infused since she was born with positive affirmation, even to this day. She's at a soccer tournament in Southern California. Because her brain wants to default. We all have a default. And that default is part lineage. It's in our DNA. It was handed down to us from ancestors. And part experience, our parents and how we were raised in the environment that we were in. And so I just am constantly reminded that if you have a bad morning because your brain says, oh my God, I missed my flight. It's raining outside. I got crap on my shoes. This happens all the time to me. That's a wired problem, not the problem. And we need to start to shift that and change it. Because for the rest of your life, you are going to have negative or poor thoughts. And we can't just pretend that if we talk about optimism, they're going to get better. We need to install these habits and disciplines. All right, great. So how do we rewire the brain? Are you doing it right now? Oh, wow.
Retrain the brain.
Yeah, yeah. Retrain it, rewire it. For many people, myself, I was born into a fixed mindset. I was born into scarcity. I was born into victim mentality. And it did not serve me at all in my path to becoming successful. And again, successful being defined by me, different than everybody else in this room. But the fixed mindset will stay with you, right? You close 10 deals and all of a sudden you lose one. So the reason I had you focus on gratitude is because gratitude will help you get through the hard times and reinforce the good times. And so if you haven't already, 3 things that you're grateful for, and one of them is about you. 30 seconds of writing. Gratitude will help rewire a negative brain, plus it will give you your own positive affirmation, sometimes to do something hard. And the more hard things we do, the greater we lean into the challenge or the obstacle, the more rewarding life becomes. Emotional states become emotional defaults. That's a big one, right? Your default. Would you stand up and give me your name again?
Alexis.
Alexis, you mind if I do a little coaching with you? Minute here, right? So we oftentimes use filler words because we're not comfortable in the pause. And then, once we feel uncomfortable, we start to throw words in there that talk us out of being powerful. So, what did you say a couple minutes ago?
I said I guess, and then I said the answer.
Yeah, great, right? So what do you do to constantly be refining or sharpening your ability to trust, believe in yourself, aka confidence and certainty?
Well, now I know that I shouldn't use the filler words. So I guess just trying to be more direct with your answers and not say I guess before.
Clear or unclear? Yeah. Does that show up in anything else in your life?
Yeah. A lot of things. I mean, I don't know, just second guessing my own thoughts, I guess. Work, home, decisions, whether they're big or small.
Do you write at all, journal?
I read a little bit more than journal, but yeah, I read.
And what did you put down for your 3 pieces of gratitude? Start with the one about you.
Oh, that one I didn't write down yet.
Okay. So, does everybody see where I'm going with this? We never put ourselves first. We never put ourselves in the ability to stand tall and believe in ourselves. We don't practice those things.
Right.
And that's all it takes is a little rewiring to change that state. I didn't know how to smile. And that causes me a little bit of emotion, right? But like I had a staggered tooth and I didn't have somebody building me up or providing me with confidence. I didn't have a father. I didn't have a positive male role model. And that affected my entire childhood until I got into my teens. And then it got worse. And so oftentimes we have to reinforce what we weren't given with our ability to practice. I triggered something in you and I didn't mean to, but would you like to share?
Just the same thing that you said.
Yeah, good job. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, is not an act, but a habit. These are all habits. Sharing with somebody in a vulnerable way is not something that we're born with, especially if you consider yourself to be a tough guy. It doesn't fit. And especially if you're a man, I coach men on how to achieve peak performance in all areas of their life. There's a wounded heart in all of us. And again, this isn't the script or the protocol for what we're talking about today, but it has to be part of the work that you do on yourself. If you are not grateful, you will have a hard time achieving things in your life because you'll always be working on what's next and never be present. If you're not grateful for yourself, then it's really hard for somebody else to believe in you if you don't believe in yourself that same way. And if you don't find a way to let go or remove from something or somebody that hurt you in your past, you'll carry that with you. And then that's what will happen on a Monday morning, why all of a sudden now you decide to be angry at the people you work with. So, everybody's heard this quote before. Study it, master it, remember it, learn it, practice it, live by it. Another great one by the Stoics is that we don't rise to the level of our expectation, we fall to the level of our training. Nobody's taught us how to be human. It's like the class I want to go into college and teach, like Human 101. And there's emotions that live in that. There's rewiring of not just the brain, but the body and the spirit. We have to let go of everything we thought about ourselves before and start fresh and new. And part of this little self-discovery that we're doing today is enhancing and upgrading some of the habits and the self-talk that we have with ourselves. All right, who can tell me what a keystone habit is? All right, let's step back. What's a habit?
Gambling.
Yeah, that's a bad habit, yeah. Yeah. Something you do without thinking about it. Great. What happens in the beginning of doing something that you're not good at?
Practice.
Right, but what happens first? You suck at it. And then you don't want to do it. Right? So a keystone habit is this progressive part of the puzzle that gets people to want to do more and more. Like you wake up in the morning and you don't default to your phone, you drink water, you do some jumping jacks, all of a sudden now that's a keystone habit. That will start to cascade into other keystone habits as the day goes by. So I'm constantly looking for what a keystone habit might be. Going to dinner with everybody that you need to be talking to and leaving your phone in the car, that's a keystone habit. That will start to change your relationship with you and the device. And we all need, I saw the raise of hands, we all need to change our relationship with the device. Do we use it as a tool? Yes. Do we get business out of it? Absolutely. Is it a phenomenal machine? Yes. But when it takes over your ability to even listen, let alone hear what that other person is saying, you're disconnected. And we can't connect with anybody else if we're not connected to ourselves first. And so these keystone habits we want to build and we want to add. This is just a very simple worksheet I'll send in the after action report that I show with people to start their day. So instead of starting on your phone first thing in the morning, you start with a worksheet. And maybe that worksheet is attached to a journal, and maybe that journal is next to a book, and maybe that book's next to a daily affirmation or gratitude. But we have to start to do some things differently than the way we're doing them if we want to improve. If you're good with status quo, if you're like, I'm at the top of my game's great. I only want to win 5 championships on the Bulls. I don't want to go for 6. Then that's cool. But if you're looking for ways to not only get better, but have an advantage over the people you're competing with in life, including the other people that do what you do in other companies or organizations, then this is just a really simple way. We got to wake up early. You got to wake up with one alarm. If your phone's right here and you hit snooze, move your phone. It's like the most simple way I tell people, right? I'm a snoozer. Well, where's your phone? Oh, it's right there. Put it in the other room. You got to take some breaths. I've been going here for about 30, 35 minutes. I haven't taken a single breath. I'd like everybody to take 3 big breaths. Anybody here have a conscious breath practice that they do in the morning time? Yeah, beautiful. You're more alive than the rest of us are. And the more breathing you do, the more alive you become. We take our first breath the day we're born. We take our last breath the day we are no longer here. In between is up to you. So start to take bigger, more intentional breaths. And there's so much great information and knowledge nowadays to be able to learn how to tap into your nervous system, to believe in yourself more, to be healthier, and to be more present. We all need to hydrate. So everybody hydrate. You got waters here. Yeah, I see all kinds of different drinks, but hydrate, right? Most medical problems and issues that stem from any type of disease happen because the cells are not hydrated. Something as simple as hydrating can enhance not only your health, but your mindset. You got to move. Didn't say go to the gym. As a fitness guy for 15 years, and again, being in the performance world of CrossFit competition, I remove that word from my training modality. I don't go to a gym. I move. How do you move every day? Physically, how do you move every day? Spiritually, gratitude is the base of prayer. Not ready for prayer? Don't do prayer? Great, practice gratitude. This is your outline or your checklist. This is not your Google Calendar. How many of you have two calendars? Whoa. Sometimes you need to simplify. And simplify can be, if I showed you the mayhem that was my hotel room last night when I got here, it's very organized chaos, but it's a system. There's sticky notes, post-it notes, there's journals, there's literature, there's information. I didn't hit the bar, but I did spend a good 4 hours obsessing on the information that I was going to give to you guys today. That happens because I'm following a process or a plan, not because I'm trying to see what's coming in the mail from Amazon or I'm responding to text messages. I stopped looking at text messages at about 9:30 this morning because, again, I need to eliminate distractions so that I can present. You got to do the same thing in your life. Oftentimes you're meeting with a prospect or you're meeting with somebody who's in space and you're on to the 7th thing of the day, and so they're reading your energy because they only have one property that they want to lease, and they're like, yeah, that person wasn't even here, they weren't present. So by articulating and itemizing the things you need to get done on a simplified basis while using the machine, you will become more effective and efficient. We got to read and we got to write. And if you want to get better at sales or marketing or communication, you got to read out loud. Okay? So what I don't have on here, but it should be, is the 1% rule. Everybody write down 1%. 1%. 1% equals 15 minutes of your day. 1% of the day is 15 minutes. Do you have 15 minutes to move? Yes. Do you have 15 minutes to practice gratitude? Do you have 15 minutes to sit and pause with your eyes closed and just be present? I flew in from Arizona, and so I slept with the window open last night because it was raining. I was happy that there was no blue skies. Sorry, we see them all the time, so a little rain was great. But these are all important things in how we move through life, is pausing long enough. 15 minutes to sit outside and just listen instead of being on your phone. Anybody here eat on their phone? Yeah. I would love for you to try to reduce that, if not eliminate it. Maybe give yourself 10 or 15% of the week. This here is a reminder of what we eat, right? We are what we eat. Miss Piggy said that. We are what we consume. And so this is either eating cleaner or pausing or not eating or not rushing. Okay, so this simple daily discipline worksheet, including gratitude, is simple. It's critical. And at a certain point, once you do a habit long enough, it becomes part of you. You do it automatically. Okay? All right, who would like to share some gratitude that they wrote down? And are you ready yet to share with everybody what you wrote that you are grateful for in yourself?
Give me 5 minutes.
You got it. 5 minutes. Please set a timer, somebody. I'm going to go back one right here. Okay, so gratitude. Turn to the person next to you and share with them the gratitude, the 3 things you wrote down. And if you have one for yourself, please start with that one. Round of applause. Awesome. Okay, so everybody knows the metaphor of the onion, right? Peeling back those layers. For those of you guys, maybe this is your first time practicing this, you wrote family, right? You wrote health. Okay, we have to peel back a layer. Details matter, right? So what part about your family? And for those of us who are, closer to, let's say, 50 than we are 21, the more details you can get, especially about the people in your life, the more reward system you have for them when you get a chance to see them. And so just going a little bit deeper, right? Another layer, another layer, another layer. Writing is one of those things, when we say writing, journaling, right, is one of those things that truly gets your brain to work differently than what it normally does. And again, by the raise of hands with everybody in the room, right, you're using so much of your brain to do your job. And every one of you has your ability to do that job really, really well. It's locked in. So you're doing that over and over again. You're in the same pattern over and over again. The writing, the reflecting, and ultimately the sharing with somebody else changes that pattern. If we change that pattern, we can change that state and we can begin to rewire the brain. All right, any other shares at this point in the session? Yes, ma'am. Hey, yeah. All right, Q&A, questions, anything. We're going to go 5 minutes here. Yes, ma'am.
What words did you have in your gym, in your box at CrossFit?
Like words on the wall, show up, don't quit. And it's a very simple framework, or what we call a code. We've added a couple layers to it since then. Show up, don't quit, do the work, trust the plan, and lead with love. For all my dads in here, okay, the masculine soul is supposed to be out hunting and killing. And what I mean by that is animals, right? We're supposed to be out there hunting and like doing things for our family. We're not supposed to be in clothes, sitting in chairs. And so a lot of us are just angry. And I noticed that by coaching young men. I have a young man who's 19 now, but I noticed it with coaching men who have teenage sons, and they'd get into these sort of conflicts, this pushback. We don't really know what that's from, but we know it's in us. And so one great way to truly let go of that is to lead with love. What does that mean? It means that you don't show up for somebody, even if you have to lead them or say something hard to them, in a way that is not truly with love. Love is the greatest superpower that there is. And you have to have love for yourself before you can have love for somebody else. But in one way, it's to sort of process through the world we live in and the life that we have, is to eliminate some of that anger that's in us from just being a man, being a masculine. Next question?
How did you get into this motivational speaking? Where did you go?
Yeah, so fixed mindset. And barely graduated high school, dropped out of college first semester, started working as a personal trainer. Before entrepreneurship, there was this thing called hustling. And so I was a hustler before I was an entrepreneur. And I had a couple small businesses in the fitness industry, personal trainer, in-home training, nutrition line, and ultimately I opened the first CrossFit gym back in 2008, CrossFit Scottsdale. Got sober, quit drinking 17 years ago, had 2 kids, and realized that like a lot of my belief system was just terrible. And where did it come from? It came from scarcity. It came from loss. It came from not a dude like me in my life who could have grabbed me by the back of my neck and been like, hey dude, I'm gonna save you a decade. And so I went through the fire, unfortunately, to get out of it. Went through a lot of loss, lost my mom at a very young age, 24 years old, as the only kind of positive male role model that I had. And I was sitting in the gym one day about 10 years ago, and my kids were running around, and I said, man, I've got so much more to give. I'm doing this in our fitness sessions, but it wasn't called this, it was called fitness. And so I sold my gym in 2016, and I went on a personal path of self-development and learned a million things that I was afraid to actually find out about in myself. I hired coaches, I went to seminars, Tony Robbins. I sat in the dirt for 6 days. I did everything you could possibly think of to realize, number one, I have an ego, and that ego was driving most of my decisions in my younger life. We all have an ego, and if we understand it, we can change it. You can never kill the ego. The ego is what gets you to have that drive and that ambition, but when it leads your decisions and makes you an egotistical monster, you got to change it and you got to course correct it. So sold the gym and went into this space. I remember telling a client of mine that I wanted to become a motivational speaker, and he kind of laughed and said, dude, you're the fitness guy. I'll never forget it. Thank you for asking. Yes?
Yeah, that was my question. Like, did you have a turning point in your life?
Yeah. Growing up without a father, and I'm going to try to keep it less about me and more about you guys, but I will answer that question. I'd like to hear some questions about you. How do you add these things or these layers to your life? How do you begin to build some of these blocks that you've been resisting? But ultimately, it was from loss, right? Like big scarcity mindset. No dad ever What's crazy, you asked the question, I told Lee I couldn't make dinner tonight, but I'm going to now. I'm meeting my sister here. She's my half-sister from my dad. And my dad had 3 kids with 3 different women, but he never showed up a day in my life, which is where show up comes from in our gym. And so a lot of wounds and scars that were self-inflicting because I was the victim. You have 4 choices. This is a great closing segment on that. Every time you show up in anybody's life, for yourself or for anybody else, you only have 4 characters that you can ever play. You can play the victim. Means everything happening to you is not your fault, and it's unfortunate, but like, poor me. You can be the villain, get angry, get upset. I was the victim and the villain. Those are the negative mindsets. You can be the hero and you can be the guide. This is called the hero's journey. Villain, victim, hero, and guide. I am not your hero. I'm not your guru. I'm your guide. You are your hero. You are your greatest hero in the entire world, and nobody's better than you. The hero is within you. You might need a guide to get it, to explore it, to get it out of you. You might need lots of guides. But ultimately, if you show up to work, or you show up at home, or you show up to soccer, or you show up because your room's not ready, and you play the victim or the villain, you need to shift that. You need to change that. Clear? All right, next question. We got 3 more questions. Yes, ma'am.
How do you navigate when you've done all this self-discovery and then you have those moments of like a trigger or something that you kind of feel yourself going back? Like, what do you do for yourself to kind of like bring yourself back into where you are now and to maintain that mindset? Great question. So we're filming. My daughter's my biggest trigger. And she knows it. My daughter changed my life. My son changed my life, but my daughter really, when I had that birth of my daughter, it made me reshape a lot of things. And so now as a teenager, her and I were besties, right? And then her as a teenager, I started to see this natural pushback. And at first I was like, what do you mean? And then over time I started to see it. Well, she is a trigger in many ways. She's spoiled, she's not entitled, but she's definitely not empowered the way that my son is. And so I've learned that she is one of those big triggers. And so if my mindset is not right, if I've gone to battle, I just did a 36-hour training course 2 days ago with a bunch of guys in the trenches, and my adrenal glands are high and I'm not in a calm state, I don't need to go home and try to be the world's best father. I need to have that little bit of break. But I've also learned through communication that the trigger is not from that person. The trigger's in me, right? Somebody cuts you off and you get pissed off and you flip them off, you lost. That's on you, right? Never let somebody outside of you affect how you feel, let alone how you act. And that's just one way to kind of calm it down. The breath work, the meditation, the visualization, if you don't have that kind of practice right now, I highly recommend it to install it, because it will take your temperature and it will regulate it. And oftentimes with trigger situations, you need to be as calm and as regulated as possible. 2 more.
We're a growing company, right? So mine was, how can you define personal success in a team job? Like, is it wrong to try to constantly find that? Or do you have to forgive yourself for wanting personal success in a team job?
No. Right? Like, you're a leader.
I like to try to do it every day.
Yeah. You're a leader.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do or do not. There is no try. You are a leader and you're leading teams. And so humanizing the brand and the business by you being authentic and vulnerable helps people realize that they can have that with you, and it will drive them more. Right? Like driving somebody because you're like dominating them, that person's gone. There's attrition. They won't be there. People don't leave bad companies, they lead bad leaders. And so one way to be a better leader is to do this work yourself and then begin to have some of these conversations with your people. Like every meeting should start with 5 minutes going around a circle of gratitude. Now, if you have 5 meetings a day, 5 days a week, I understand. It could be a little much. But if you have a weekly meeting or a monthly meeting or one of these meetings, you simply spend 5 minutes going around in a circle. And again, everybody's coming in here with different problems. You were on the phone with your kid, right? You missed his flight or it got delayed. Everybody has problems that we don't see. And it's not your job as the company business team leader to solve everybody's life problems. But when you give them a small gap, if you give them the opportunity to be heard and seen, that person will run through walls with you. At this event, and I was going to put the slide up, but I didn't. At this event that I did for 34 hours, I've got nothing but volunteers there for the whole time because they want to be there. If I try to pay them, they won't take money. That doesn't happen because I'm yelling at people or I'm over here eating my meal and they're in there not eating anything. I'm in the trenches with them. So if you're leading from other offices and you're managing people, you might have to be a road warrior to get in there and see these people face to face sometimes to get them to do what you need them to do. Or go back to that crystal clear communication piece, which is making sure they know exactly what you want and how you want it done. I never fired anybody in my gym days. I would let them fire themselves when they came into my office. So I would just simply ask them, how's it going? What's working? What's not working? How can I help you? And if you can ask a couple of those questions along the way, most people will ultimately either raise their game or they'll take the exit out on their own. One more question? One more question? Yes, ma'am?
What is your meditation practice or advice for?
So start with Headspace. It's great. It's an app. You can download Andy for 7 days, right? Get lost on YouTube. And again, I'll send some resources on my after action report. Go to a retreat. Like, here's another one of my quotes, and I didn't put it up here. Information is free, education is expensive, and experience is priceless. I've invested a ton of money on experiencing things that you can't read about in a book. And again, if I go back to my formal education, I went to private school through middle school in 8th grade. I went to private school in Hawaii, a school called Punahou, which is a really high-level school. And then I went to public school, and then I dropped out of college. And so, this practice takes investment of time, energy, and resources. But we live in this day and age where, again, there's too much information, right? It's distracting how much information there is. So meditation, right? Marcus Aurelius, he wrote a book called Meditations. It might be on there. It's not. Daily Stoic. This is a great way to read about how to meditate and ultimately some daily affirmations of what the Stoics went through. They said, control what you can control and let go of everything else. So this guy comes in, he's really upset because, there's things are going on. He's supposed to demand these things. Yes, and. Anybody do improv or theater or drama in the room? Come on, I know there's somebody in here. Don't be embarrassed. One of my dudes, yeah, okay. I highly recommend it as training, going to an improv class. I hired a speaking coach about 5 years ago, and he told me to kind of go to there. And so one of the things they teach you is yes and. We live in a world where if you do not believe what I'm saying, you'll diminish it right away, versus yes and. It's an agreeable statement. So somebody comes to you with conflict, your conflict resolution is yes and. I understand. However, we have these bylaws here for a reason. Yes and. I understand. But you're 2 months behind on your rent, and we're not running a nonprofit here. Yes and. Right? You're meeting them where they are, but you're not defaulting to the attitude or the energy or the anger that they may possess. All right, one more question. From somebody who hasn't shared.
I have a question.
Yes. This does not count, by the way, so somebody in here.
I'm just curious because I read a lot of Scott Galloway and a lot of Jesse Itzler, a lot of the kind of thoughts that you've shared with us, and I think they're so important to what we're doing. I'm curious, there's been all these articles written about how, organized religion, whatever religion is, or not really, like some of the things you talked about, like these like early civilization habits, doing things certain times, certain days, whether you believe in it or not, some of that's long gone now. I'm just curious your take on like, there's no question about it, there's all kinds of studies. The globe, humankind is less religious than they once were, and I'm not passing judgment whether that's good or bad. Just some of the, what do you call them? The
Precepts.
no, God, what's the word?
Rituals?
Ritual. Thank you. Like the rituals are a lot of the things you touched on. I'm curious for your thoughts on that. Have we just like lost some of the rituals that kept us doing all the things you're saying? Like wake up in the morning and the first thing you should do is X, Y, Z. Well, thousands of years ago, like a lot of those were driven by like organized religion, right? Like, or community belief systems. I don't even call it religion. Like you lived in a tribe, and the tribe needed for sustenance and survival to do ABC every morning together.
Yeah.
Do you think we're like, I don't know, I'm just curious.
Yeah, so I'm going to try to answer this. The first thought of mine is to tell a small sort of story. Our suicide rate in America is about 200 times or 200% what it is in India, in Eastern India. And I have an Indian client, and we started talking about this because I've dealt with a lot of suicide in the military, especially with PTSD. And he said, it's really simple. The people in India have to walk 7 miles and carry 5 gallons of water back to their house or to their hut. And if they don't do that, then grandpa and uncle and aunt and everybody dies. And so they have purpose. Most of the people who take their life don't have purpose, or they feel that they've lost that purpose. And how am I sort of interweaving it into what you said, right? Well, we're in such a modern, like we're 500x on work. Now, can we be more efficient and effective? Absolutely. We can waste less time so that we don't have to spend as many man hours doing those things. But because we're in this modern world, we've gotten away from some of what's important and valuable, that if you ask somebody at the end of their life, what are their regrets, they would tell you, these are the things that I chose to spend my time doing versus not doing, right? And doing something as simple as waking up early and hydrating and like putting a smile on your face, high-fiving somebody, right? I send text messages for a living, okay? I send a lot of powerful information. I have a podcast, I have a bunch of different content, and I'm sending all this stuff out to people who hired me and people that I know, friends and colleagues. And I had a realization a couple years ago that my kids were not receiving that. I have now, with having a 19-year-old and a 17-year-old, every morning I send them something positive. Well, anything you give positive is a two-way street. You give it, that person receives it. You give it, and you feel it. This is why purpose is one of the most important things in the world. Well, how do we find purpose in our work? We find purpose in our life, and we happen to do a job, and we do that job with the same amount of purpose that we have in our own life. And so just looking at some of these old traditional ways, like it's really simple, right? Do something different tomorrow that empowers and improves your life before you try to do anything else. And don't let the distractions consume you. Make yourself the priority, okay? Right? It's a terrible metaphor. I need to come up with something new, but everybody knows the oxygen mask on the airplane. You put the oxygen mask on you first before you put it on your kids. You save yourself before you try to save anybody else. Everything I did this morning to prepare for this session as I'm going through it is a reminder of the practice, of the work. Waking up, hydrating, going to the gym. I won't tell you what I spent. I didn't put it on the tab. What I spent on using the cold plunge in the sauna, but I questioned it. My fixed mindset said, dude, you're crazy. You can do this at home for free. My growth mindset said, put yourself in that state, show up the way that you would show up for anything else, forget the money, it doesn't matter. And so when I'm in that place doing my practice, preparing for my day or my presentation or the hard conversation I have to have with my son because he's online gambling on his phone, right? Teenage boys, for those of you men, right, whether you have kids or not, mentor a young man. They need you. Women, of course, ladies, mentor young ladies. But it's one of the most precious and powerful things that I get a chance to do is speak into young people, and that's what I tell them. I'm going to help you save a decade. Follow these basic protocols and these practices. So, anybody else have a question before we close out here? All right, just want to take a minute to thank you guys for your energy, for your attention, for your enthusiasm. Lee, thank you for bringing me in. I've met Lee once, maybe twice before. Great friends with my wife who's in the business, in the industry of commercial real estate. Most of the men I coach are in commercial real estate. That's like the number one avatar for guys who are trying to find balance, but also oftentimes, scattered back and forth. And so Lee, I appreciate you. I'm grateful for you. Thank you. Ritz Carlton, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Well done, basis. Great job. I invite you guys, any of the men in the room, like to schedule a call. It's just a simple discovery call, and we can go a little bit deeper. This is a free resource, Fathers of the Future podcast, and of course, any social media that's out there. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's great.